So if you've seen my last video, then you know that I just did a solo winter hike up Mount Washington. If you haven't seen it, I'll link that video in the description if you want to check it out. But I did mention that since everything went so well when it came to my gear and my clothing layers, that I was going to put out this quick video and just show you everything I packed and wore on this hike that just made it so successful. So I'm filming this at work right now. I'm actually in my new gear shop, which I just started setting up. If you want updates on that, definitely subscribe to my other channel, which is Taylor at Nahamsha Gifts, also linked in the description of this video. I actually forgot to bring my hiking shoes, but I wore the high top waterproof Saucony boots, and they worked really well despite the super wet and slushy conditions of the trail. I think my feet stayed probably like 90% dry, which was amazing. On my feet, I also had the Injinji toe liner socks and then Darn Tough socks on top of those. And then on top of everything, I have the Katula gaiters, which I also forgot, but everything I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description. On my head, I wore my good old-fashioned Survivor buff. I wore my favorite hiking pants for the winter. These are from backcountry.com. They are the Backcountry brand. They are fleece-lined, water-resistant, and very warm and comfortable. My base layer shirt is this Columbia shirt that I got at the outlets. It is warm because it has that Omni Heat technology on the inside. It's nice and form-fitting and super comfortable to hike in. And then on top of that, I had my mid layer, which is a Melanzana. This isn't the typical micro grid Melanzana that a lot of people wear. It's a new one that I just got like a month or two ago. And it's like the windbreaker version fleece. I don't know the specs, but it is so nice and warm and comfortable. On top of the fleece for most of the hike, I wore my Enlightened Equipment Torrid vest for insulation. And then when it got super windy, I put my rain jacket on to block the wind. And my rain jacket is the REI Rainier rain jacket. And it worked out well because I opened up the pit zips and got some airflow, so I didn't overheat, but it still blocked the wind. I want to say for 90% of the hike, I wore my Katula micro spikes. I just recently replaced them because the traction wears down, obviously, the more you hike. So these are a brand new pair. These are my absolute favorite. I've gone through so many cheap spikes off of Amazon, but these, yes, they're $70, but I feel so stable and secure with these on my feet. So my favorite trekking poles are the REI Traverse trekking poles. They're the ones I brought on both of my AT through hikes, but the tips on them are so worn down and I haven't replaced them. So I ended up taking like my backup pair of trekking poles on this hike because the tips are totally intact. And if I'm doing winter icy condition, I want good tips so I could really like dig into the ice if I need it. So these I think I got from Dick's Sporting Goods. They say they are the Cascade Mountain Tech and they're a lot lighter than my REI trekking poles. And they worked well. Now I'll get into my fanny pack, which is the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Versa. In this back pocket, I always keep toilet paper in a Ziploc bag. I also had my Kula cloth in there too. In this main compartment here, I just have the case to my sunglasses. I still have my leftover snacks. So just like my bars and beef jerky are in this main container. And I also had my wallet and keys in that when I was hiking. And then this front zipper here has a couple more little pieces of gear. I have my headlamp, which is charged and accessible if I ever needed it. And then I also kept a body warmer and some hand warmers because I want those accessible because if I'm reaching for these on a winter hike, I really need them. It's usually my fingers that just get really cold really fast. So I'm gonna get into my backpack and all the gear and safety gear that I have inside. But first, I just wanna, I guess, make a disclaimer that everyone's winter gear is gonna be different based on everyone's personal level of what they feel comfortable with. Some people feel comfortable just taking the bare minimum. Some people take stuff that would keep them warm and comfortable for up to 3 days in the wilderness if anything were to go wrong. I'm somewhere in the middle. This isn't a video of me telling you exactly what you should take on a winter hike. This is just a video of me sharing my gear and what I feel comfortable with. So it might not be perfect. That's my disclaimer, because I'm sure someone's gonna watch this video and be like, I can't believe you didn't take X, Y, and Z. And so I'm just trying to avoid some of that if I can. All right. So starting off, we'll just start with my snowshoes because they're big and I want to get them out of the way. So the snowshoes I brought with me are Tubbs Frontier women's snowshoes. And these are honestly the only piece of gear that I am looking to replace, and the piece of gear that I'm not totally comfortable with, because I've taken them on a few hikes, but they just don't stay on my feet that well. So this is not something that I really recommend, especially if you're doing these tough, hard, steep, snowy hikes in the White Mountains. They're gonna be great for just snowshoeing around town, but I don't know if they're made for kind of what I want them to be. So I'm open to suggestions. If you know a good pair of snowshoes that would be good up in the presidential range, for instance. These are the only pair I had, so I took them with me. And I definitely wanted to take snowshoes with me because if you've seen my Mount Moriah winter hike, I needed snowshoes because I was post-holing with every step. So I just didn't want that situation to happen again. And these were gonna get me by if the trail conditions were like that, but I actually didn't even need to use them on this hike, so I'm thankful. Now my backpack of choice for this hike was my Hyperlite Mountain Gear Unbound 40-liter pack. And I have all the bells and whistles attached to it like always. I've got my kind of rag so I could keep blowing my nose. I've got the water bottle pocket, phone pocket, my Garmin InReach Mini 2 attached. This is super important for me to keep on this hike. In this pocket right here, I have my sunglasses, which it was so bright up above tree line, especially with the sun and the no clouds and the snow. So I'm really glad I took these at the last second. In this water bottle pocket, I have my Hydro Flask. It's like a 500 milliliter soft water bottle. I don't often take this with me on winter hikes because this water in the straw can freeze pretty easily. But this hike, I'm really thankful because it never actually got cold enough for this water to freeze. So I feel like I got lucky. So I drank all my water from this while I was hiking, and I kept refilling it with my Nalgene. Now I went into the hike knowing that this could freeze, so all my other water was insulated. This Nalgene is in this insulated Nalgene pouch. So I kept taking this out during my breaks, refilling this soft water bottle and then just drinking from that. I also had this Yeti. Again, it's stainless steel, so the water inside wasn't gonna freeze, and this is where I had my element drink mix. This front pocket has the gloves that I actually wore for a lot of the hike. They're just the $25 Kinko gloves. I got these in a subscription box. They are amazing. I hike with them, I ski with them, they're warm, and they do the trick. This is my Enlightened Equipment vest, which I wore for a lot of the hike. When I was done with it, I just stuffed it back in that front pocket. I actually have a lot more hand and body warmers in there because you never know. These are mostly for like an emergency situation. If I ever had to wait for a rescue, I would just cover myself with the body warmers to keep my core temperature up. Same with the hand warmers. So they're so small and they're good to have. Just my trash from my snacks at the break. In this side pocket too, I also had my tripod, which my phone is on right now. And I used the tripod a couple times. It was really nice getting like a time lapse to keep my camera still. Going inside the bag, I just have this Hiker Medic first aid kit. Just a bunch of basic first aid kit things that I would need. It's never been opened, so everything is intact in there. And there's like a little checklist on the back of everything that's inside. I also have this little waterproof ditty bag with a few more items inside. this Ziploc bag. It's kind of just like a little bit of everything I might need. I actually used a lot of this sunblock. When I took that first break at Lake of the Clouds hut, it was so sunny that I put sunblock all over my face. So I'm glad I had that. And then I just have some little things like a Ziploc bag of Band-Aids. Some things are actually still from my through hike. Like I have a flosser and some extra contacts. I got some waterproof matches, a lighter, then my Swiss Army knife and chopstick in there too. I have a whole roll of Luco tape that I could tape up anything if I needed to, mostly blisters. I felt like I was getting a big blister on this hike and I probably should have stopped to tape it up, but I just hiked through it. And then my battery bank and a charger. If my phone dies, if my headlamp dies, I can recharge it. I actually just saw a search and rescue news article about someone like a few miles down the street that had to call search and rescue because they did not bring a headlamp and their phone was at 4% and they needed rescuing off the mountain. So I just don't want that to happen ever. So this is a heavy duty one. This could charge my phone and my headlamp probably like 5-6 times. And here I also have my long sleeve insulating layer that I never had to put on, but I had in case I needed it. This is also from Enlightened Equipment. It's the one that Darwin created. I don't know the exact name. Yeah, between this insulating layer and my insulated vest and my rain jacket, I feel like I could have stayed really warm for a while with all of that. I also have waterproof rain mitts that I can put on top of my gloves to add more warmth or just keep them dry if it were to rain or get really snowy or whatever. I always bring rain pants because putting these on top of my hiking pants add a lot more warmth than I thought they would. I've done a winter hike once where I've just fallen in the snow one too many times and just got my pants all cold and wet. So just having this extra layer in case it was that type of hike would definitely help. It's also pretty common for hikers to wear ski goggles above tree line if it's really windy and really cold. So I just threw my ski goggles in my backpack, and then I also have just like my ski gaiter, I think it's called. And it's all fleece, so it's hooded. A lot of people comment and ask why I don't wear a hat, but so many of my layers have hoods, and I wear my buff. So my buff covers my ears, my insulating layers, my rain jacket, my mid layer, they all have hoods. I'm just more of a hood person than a hat person, but I had this to keep my neck and head warm if I needed it. I also brought this like extra large reflective blanket. This is kind of just like a survival piece of gear. If I did have to wait on the trail for rescue, this could be a good insulating layer between me and the snow. It's bright orange, so if I needed to get some visibility from someone looking for me, I could use that. Just a really cheap, lightweight piece of survival gear that I decided to take with me. And then the last thing I think in this pack is my compression sack with my sleeping bag inside. So again, if I ever had to wait for an extended amount of time for a rescue, I could get into my sleeping bag, wrap me up with this reflective blanket, and with all my layers on, I feel confident that I could stay warm while I waited. So that is all my gear. I do not think I forgot anything. I honestly just was not planning on making this video, but I know I've had a few winter hike vlogs on this channel where just things didn't go right or I just wasn't as prepared as I should have been. But on this hike, I felt super prepared, super safe. I was really happy with what I brought, so I figured why not make a video and show you. So that is my gear. If there's anything else you want to see on this channel, definitely let me know. Until then, I'll just keep vlogging my adventures for you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.